The Titanfall drifted in space, broken, but not dead. Captain Raynor Holt sat on the floor of the bridge, coughing through the smoke. Sparks flew from the ceiling, pipes hissed. Red warning lights blinked across every screen. Engine failure. Hull breach detected, life support. Tysical Raynor groaned and pulled himself up using the control panel. His face was cut. Blood ran down his cheek, but he didn't care. The ship was falling apart, but he had survived again. Still here. He muttered, still kicking, but only for now. The radar flashed. 2 alien ships remained. They were circling. It's careful this time, watching, waiting. They had learned from his tricks. Raynor knew he couldn't fight them like before. His ship was nearly finished. One more hit and everything would explode. He had to escape. There was only one way, a jump drive. He limped down the hallway toward engineering. Every step was heavy. He passed the body of an alien soldier, charred and smoking. He didn't stop, didn't look. The Titanfall had no AI, no crew, and no help. Only him. When he reached the engine room, he saw the damage. Panels were blown out, wires dangled. The floor was half melted. And in the center, the jump drive sat cold silent. Raynor knelt beside it and opened the maintenance panel. Burnt, the whole circuit board was dead. But nearby was something useful, a spare drive core. Thank you, old girl, he whispered too. The ship, he dragged the core into place. His hands shook. His breathing was short. Time was running out, and the alien ships were still outside. He connected the wires, sparks flew, then dashed silence for 5 seconds. Nothing happened. Then the jump drive lit up faintly. Power, 12%, not enough for a full jump, but maybe enough for one blind jump. Raynor returned to the bridge and set the coordinates. No target, no destination, just DAND. Anywhere but here. He strapped into the chair. His fingers hovered over the launch button. The radar beeped again. One of the alien ships was charging a weapon. A warning appeared on screen. Enemy lock detected. Impact in 12 SECO on DS. Raynor gritted his teeth. Let's go, girl. He slammed the jump button. Outside, the Titanfall's engines screamed to life. The old ship groaned like a dying animal. Blue light formed at its rear. The hull cracked. Bolts flew off. Metal twisted. But the ship moved, just as the alien fired its main cannon. The Titanfall vanished in a flash of light, leaving nothing behind. Jump was violent. Inside, Raynor was thrown against the wall. The safety belt snapped, hit the floor hard. Everything went dark. He woke up hours later. No alarms. No lights, only silence. He crawled to the control panel and pressed the power button. A flicker. Then a screen lit up. Unknown location. Nitrogen monoxide. Star data. Found life support. 2 hours. Maya and Raynor sat back, breathing slowly. He had escaped the enemy, but now he was lost somewhere in deep space, with no map, no fuel, and no backup. A real graveyard, or so it seemed. Then the radar blinked. Signal. DEDECTE leaned forward. His eyes widened. The signal was weak, faint, but it was real. Human. A distress call. But from where? He adjusted the scanner, trying to boost the signal. The message repeated, full of static. To any remaining Terran vessels. This is Commander Wren of the HSS Valor. We are trapped. Need assistance. Location classified. Raynor froze. Commander Wren had died over 200 years ago, or so everyone believed. But here was her voice, still alive, still calling for help. How? He whispered. Another message followed. We know what they were afraid of. The secret weapon. It's real. It's still here. Then the signal ended. Raynor sat in silence for a long time. His ship was dying. He was lost. But something was waiting out there. Something from the old war. Something the aliens feared. The mission wasn't over. It was just beginning. He stood up, weak but determined. I didn't wake up to die in a floating coffin, he said. I woke up to finish the fight. Outside, the stars were silent. But in the distance, A faint blinking light appeared, a signal beacon. Maybe Hope Rayner took a deep breath and turned his ship toward it. The Titanfall moved slowly through space. Its engines were barely working. Lights flickered. Life support was failing. Captain Rayner Holt sat in the command chair, wrapped in a thermal blanket. His breath was visible. It was freezing inside the ship. But he didn't care. He had a direction now. A signal. A human voice calling from somewhere deep in space. A voice that should be impossible. Commander Wren. She died over 2 centuries ago, or so the records said. But her message had been clear. We know what they were afraid of. The secret weapon. It's real. It's still here. Rayner wasn't going to ignore that. After 3 more hours, the ship reached the edge of a strange sector. He looked out through the cracked view window. Floating ahead were hundreds, maybe. Thousands of ships. Some human, some alien, some completely unrecognizable. Most were broken, burned, torn apart. A massive graveyard. "What is this place?" he whispered. The radar showed strange readings. No star nearby. No known system. This battlefield wasn't on any map. It was erased from history. Rayner guided the Titanfall deeper into the wreckage field. Metal scraps bounced off the hull. One broken cruiser drifted past with its name barely visible. HSS Pridefall, he remembered. That name, it was lost during the last great battle of the final war, but that battle was never explained. All records had been deleted. Why? His fingers gripped the armrest tightly. Then the signal returned louder. This time, Holt. "Is that you? We're inside the Valor. Hurry." Rayner's heart stopped. The ship sending the signal was only 400 meters ahead, and it was real. He steered closer and saw the ship, HSS Valor 1, Earth's most advanced battleships. Last seen 210 years ago, it was cracked open, its side torn like paper. Debris floated around it. But the signal was definitely coming from inside. He docked the Titanfall slowly, manually latching the airlock. He wore a thin pressure suit and carried a light, a pistol, and a backup oxygen tank. He stepped inside the Valar, and everything went quiet. The hallways were dark. Burn marks covered the walls. Bullet holes, blades. There had been a fight here, and not a small one. He walked slowly. Weapon ready. Then he heard something. A voice, low, mechanical, human life form detected. He froze. "Who's there?" he shouted. No answer. But lights turned on one by one, leading down a hall. Rayner followed. He entered the bridge. It was in better shape than the rest of the ship. Monitors were working. Power lines glowed. And in the captain's chair sat a figure. A woman. She turned. It was Commander. Rayner stared in disbelief. She looked the same as she did 200 years ago. No aging. No damage. No time. "Impossible," he said. She smiled. "Rayner Holt, you made it." He raised his weapon. "You're supposed to be dead." "I am," she said. "Kind of." She stood and tapped a panel. The room lit up. Holograms showed. The war, the final battle, secret lab hidden under Earth's last moon. A project called Titan Core. Rayner's eyes widened. He had heard rumors. A weapon so strong it could bend space itself. Wren nodded. It was real, but not a weapon. A failsafe, a last gift to humanity. "What is it?" She looked sad. "Something that could end the war, but also end us." "Yes. That's why we buried it here. We made the Valar its guardian." Rayner stepped back. "Then why call me?" Wren looked at him closely. "Because it's waking up." Suddenly the ship shook. An alarm blared. "Warning. Multiple enemy ships approaching." Rayner ran to the window. 6 alien warships were moving fast through the wreckage. They had found them. "Looks like we don't have time," he said. Wren walked to a console and tapped in a code. Behind the captain's chair, a hidden door opened. Inside, a glowing cylinder floated in a sealed chamber. Rayner stepped forward. His breath caught in his throat. It was beautiful, pure energy, alive. "This is Titan Core," he asked. "Yes," Ren said softly. "And now it's yours." He turned. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer. Her body flickered and vanished. Hologram.Ren was long gone. Only her echo remained. Raynor heard explosions. In the distance, the enemy was boarding. He grabbed the Titan Core and ran. The ship trembled. One alien ship fired a torpedo. The Valor's side. Flames shot out from the corridor. Raynor jumped through falling beams. His suit burning, lungs choking, but he didn't stop. He reached the Titanfall, slammed the airlock closed, and threw the Titan Core into the engine chamber. The lights came on. The ship reacted instantly. The core was powering it. More than that, wakening it. The rusted hull began to glow. The old screens turned sharp. The engines pulsed like a heartbeat. Raynor smiled. Let's show them what an old wreck can do. Outside, the alien fleet locked on, but something was different now. The Titanfall was no longer a broken coffin. It was a rising phoenix, and its fire had just returned. The Titanfall no longer looked dead. Its hull, once dull and rusted now, glowed with blue veins of light. The broken systems pulsed like a beating heart. The Titan Core, installed deep in the ship's engine room, had awakened something ancient, something powerful. Captain Raynor Holt stood on the bridge, watching the ship's systems come alive. The lights were bright. The engines hummed like a song. Even the walls seemed to breathe. "Feels like she's dreaming," he whispered. The ship was no longer just metal and wires. It was something more, and the enemy knew it. 6 alien ships moved into position. They circled the Titanfall, like wolves around a wounded bear. One of them opened. "Come surrender. Hand over the core. You are outnumbered, outgunned, outmatched." Raynor leaned forward, smiled, and replied, "No." He cut the signal. The first enemy ship fired. A glowing red beam flew straight toward the Titanfall. But just before impact, a strange blue shield formed around the human ship. The beam hit but bounced off, spreading like liquid fire across invisible walls. Raynor's eyes widened. That wasn't there before. The Titan Core had changed everything. The alien ships hesitated, then fired together. Beams, missiles, plasma rounds. The Titanfall shook but didn't break. The shield held strong. Panels lit up. Weapons reactivated, and the main cannon glowed for the first time in 200 years. "Let's fight back," Raynor said. He pressed the trigger. The Titanfall fired. One massive beam of blue energy shot from the front cannon. It sliced through one alien ship in a second. The ship exploded into burning pieces. Another beam followed, and another. Within minutes, 3 enemy ships were gone. The rest turned to flee. Raynor didn't chase them. He just watched as they vanished into the stars. Then he slumped back into his seat. Victory. But for how long? He opened the logs now that the core was active. New files were unlocked, files that had been locked since before the war ended. As he read them, his face grew cold. Project Titanfall. Not a warship, a messenger. Not just a core. Titan Core wasn't just a power source. It was a memory. Inside it was a message. Raynor clicked play. A hologram appeared above the console. It was a woman in a lab coat, tired eyes, a shaking voice. "If you're hearing this, Earth is already gone. We tried to stop them. We tried to hide the core, but it's too late. The aliens weren't afraid of humans. Not exactly. They were afraid of what we found." She turned the camera to show a glowing crystal. "This isn't human tech. It's older. Far older. We found it buried on Mars, and the moment we powered it up, they came. They weren't hunting us. They were destroying the signal." The message glitched, then returned. "If you power the core, the signal starts again. They'll come. All of them. Not just scouts. Not just warships. The ones who erased the last civilization will return." The hologram ended. Raynor sat still. The silence was louder than before. "So the core was never ours," he said. "We just found it." He walked to the window and stared out at the stars. "And now we've called them back." Just then, the radar blinked again. Another signal. Human. Very. Far but real. He boosted the signal and listened. A male voice. Tired. Whispering. Titanfall. This is Captain Lennox of the colony ship New Dawn. We received your transmission. You're not alone. We're coming. Rainier's breath caught in his chest. Humans. Real humans. Alive. He responded quickly. Lennox, this is Captain. Holt. Be careful. There's more coming. The core. It sends a signal. We don't know who or what is listening. Lennox replied. We know. That's why we need you. The core can lead us to the source. To what they feared? Rainier narrowed his eyes. Or to what they were hiding. He turned back to the controls. He had a choice now. He could try to hide. Shut the core down and disappear. Or he could follow the path, find the truth, and face the thing behind. The stars. He smiled softly and said, I didn't come this far to quit. He set course for the new dawn. The Titanfall's engines roared with new strength, whatever was waiting out their ancient weapons, sleeping enemies, forgotten gods. He was going to find it. Captain Rainier Holt stood on the bridge of the Titanfall. His ship, once dead and forgotten, now glowed with power from the Titan core. Every panel, every screen, every weapon system was alive again, stronger than before. But the core was also sending out a signal, and that signal was being heard. He watched the radar. More ships were coming, a lot more. The transmission from Captain Lennox of New Dawn had changed everything. They were human survivors, whole colonies, that had escaped the war, hiding for years. But now they were returning, and they were looking to Rainier as a symbol, a legend, the ghost captain. But Rainier didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a man with one last job to finish. The comms beeped Lennox's. The voice came through. Captain Holt, we're 5 hours away. We've brought 4 ships, fighters, light cruisers. It's not enough to stop them, but we'll follow your lead. Rainier nodded, though no one could see him. Understood. Prepare your people. The enemy will arrive before you do. Shut off the comms and turn to the console. The radar now showed 20 enemy ships. Some were massive, bigger than anything he had seen before. Alien signals, shapes never seen in the war. The old enemy had returned, or worse, something older had heard the call. Rainier moved fast. He rerouted power from life support to the weapon grid. He didn't need comfort now. He needed fire. In the lower decks, he activated old drone bays. 6 mechanical drones rolled out, their systems shaking off centuries of dust. He uploaded battle commands. They would fight until they burned out. So would he. The first enemy ship dropped out of warp. It was dark, made of black metal with glowing red eyes along the hull. It didn't send a message. It just fired. The beam hit the Titanfall's shield, shaking the entire ship. Warning alarms blared. One turret exploded. A small fire started near the engine room. Rainier didn't panic. He turned his ship and fired back. 2 blue beams cut across space and slammed into the enemy ship's side. It cracked but didn't fall. Then more enemies arrived. 10, 15, 20. All around him, Rainier's hand hovered over the manual control switch. Most captains let the ship's AI handle large battles, but he had no AI, just himself. And his resolve? Let's dance, he said. He pushed the thrusters and flew straight toward the enemy fleet. They weren't expecting that. The Titanfall spun and rolled and dodged incoming fire like a ghost in the wind. The drones followed, firing from behind cover. It in key enemy engines. Rainier targeted their command ship. He charged the main cannon. The enemy tried to escape, but too late. The Titanfall fired. The shot tore the enemy flagship in half. The explosion lit up the graveyard field like a second sun. But Rainier wasn't untouched. His left engine was gone. Half his shields were down. Fire control systems were breaking one by one. Still, fought on 1 against 20, and the 20 were losing. Then, silence. Only 4 enemy ships remained. They backed off, moving in a wide circle. Rainier paused. "What are you waiting for?" he said to the screen. Then the answer came. A shadow, not a ship. A fortress. Something so massive it blocked the stars. It dropped out of warp in total silence. Rayner stared. He had never seen anything like it. The core inside the Titanfall pulsed, hard almost like it was afraid. And then it spoke. A voice inside Rayner's mind. Not human, not alien. Something older, something that had waited. "You opened the gate? I'll see what lies beyond it." Rayner grabbed his chest. The voice echoed in his bones. He looked out the window at the approaching fortress. One blast from that thing would destroy everything, and the new dawn ships were still 4 hours away. He had no choice. He had to buy time. He rerouted all remaining. Power to the engines and weapons. One last strike. One last stand. He opened the comms to New Dawn. "Lennox, this is Holt. If I don't make it, finish what we started. The core isn't a weapon. It's a key. Don't lose it." Lennox answered, voice shaking. "We won't. Godspeed, Captain." Rayner set his course, straight at the fortress. He knew he wouldn't survive, but maybe he could stop whatever was inside it from waking up fully. He looked around the bridge one last time. Touched the rusted metal beside him. "Let's show them what rust can do." He whispered, the Titanfall, engines burning bright. Charged forward, alone, unyielding. The last human warship, the enemy fired. And Rayner screamed into the void, "I am human, and I am not done yet." In the dark, empty space between stars, a ship floated like a dead whale. Its hull was rusted. Its wings were cracked. The engines were silent, cold for many years. Faded paint showed the letters HSS Titanfall. Once it was a great warship. Now it was just space trash. But something strange was happening. Inside the ship. In a small room deep in the lower deck, a blue light blinked. Then another system lit up weak, but alive. In the middle of the room, a cryopod hissed open. Smoke filled the space as the lid rose slowly. A man inside opened his eyes. His name was Captain Rayner Holt. His body was thin, weak from years of sleep. His beard had grown long and gray. His eyes were sharp like blades. He gasped, coughed, and looked around. "Ship. ... Status," he whispered. No answer. The ship's AI was dead. He pulled himself out of the pod and stood, legs shaking. The lights flickered. He grabbed a rusted metal pole for support and walked slowly toward the emergency panel. Dust covered everything. Rats wouldn't live here, Evan. They would run from this grave. He pressed a switch. A broken screen blinked. To life. Systems. Critical failure. Life support. Minimal power. 4% warning. Unknown vessels detected 12.8. Kame's heart froze. "Enemy?" he asked aloud. Still no AI, still no voice, but he knew aliens. Out in space, 3 alien scout ships circled the Titanfall. Their scanners showed no life. One of them opened to Cum's old human tech, probably from the final war. "Looks dead." "We scrap it? Send a drone. If it's clean, we board." Easy pickings. The drone launched. It entered through a broken hangar door. Cameras scanned the walls, floors, and halls. Everything looked dead. Lights flickered. Wires hung from ceilings. And silence ruled. But it didn't see the small motion behind a bulkhead. Rayner waited, hiding in shadow. He held a rusted wrench, breathing slowly. The drone floated past him. He struck. One hard hit and the drone fell to the ground, sparking. Rayner grabbed its camera and stared into the lens. "Come inside," he whispered. "I'm waiting." 15 minutes later, the alien ship docked. A boarding team of 4 stepped into the hangar. Their armor glowed blue. Their weapons clicked, and they expected dust. They expected darkness. They didn't expect the message on the wall, written in red paint. "You woke me up." Then the lights went out. Rayner moved like a shadow. He didn't have full strength. He didn't have guns or armor, but he had something better: memory. This was his ship. He knew every pipe, every crawl space, every secret door. He had set traps basic. One's a floor panel dropped under the first alien. The creature screamed as it fell down a shaft into darkness. The second alien fired blindly and hit a steam pipe. Burning gas sprayed its face. The third slipped on a pool of oil and cracked. Its head, the fourth, ran. But Rayner was faster. He cornered the last one and pointed a stolen alien weapon at its face. He spoke in the alien tongue, broken, but clear. "Who sent you?" The alien hissed, "You should be dead." Rayner smiled. "Everyone thinks that, but I'm still here." And then he fired. Hours passed. Rayner sat in the captain's chair. He stared at the control panel. Slowly, carefully, he started rerouting power from forgotten systems. He lit one screen, then another. The ship groaned like an old beast waking up. Sparks flew. One of the engines coughed. Lights along the hallway flickered back to life. Not perfect. Enough he opened a comm channel and recorded a message. "This is Captain Rayner Holt of the HSS Titanfall. If any humans are out there, I'm alive. I am not giving up. Not yet." He ended the message and played it on loop. Across the stars, someone might hear it. Or maybe no one would. Still, he spoke again, this time to the ship. "Old girl," he said softly, patting the rusted console. "They think we're broken. But they don't know what real humans are made of." Outside, more alien signals appeared on radar. They were coming. Bigger ships. Stronger weapons. Rayner stood slowly, stretched his tired arms, and smiled. "Let them come," he whispered. "Let them see what Russ can do." 3 alien ships hovered near the rusted human vessel. Their sensors still showed nothing, no power, no life. But something felt wrong. "The boarding team isn't responding," one alien said, overcome. "Send another?" "No, send all of us. Burn the ship if needed." Inside the HSS Titanfall, Captain Rayner Holt watched the radar. Blink, more enemy dots. Closer now. He had minutes, maybe less. Rayner moved quickly through the narrow hallway. He dragged an old power cable and connected it to a broken turret. Sparks shot out, but the barrel rotated once. Slow, tired worry sound followed. "Still works," he whispered, smiling. He opened an old locker. Inside were parts, tools, and one item wrapped in cloth, a pistol. It was old, human-made, heavy, still loaded. He checked the charge. 3 bullets left. "Better than nothing," he said. The alien soldiers entered again. This time they came in groups of 4, strong armor, bigger guns. They moved in formation like they expected trouble. They walked into the hangar empty. They walked into the control deck, still empty. But as they passed through the engineering bay, a voice echoed from the ceiling. "You shouldn't have come." Then the lights turned red. The trap was simple. Rayner had rigged a broken cooling pipe to burst when someone stepped on the pressure plate. The first alien stepped forward. Second later, ice-cold gas exploded into the room. Vision dropped. Armor. Sensors jammed in the fog. Rayner struck. One shot. 1 alien down. He ducked behind a pillar as lasers flew past him. One hit the wall just above his head. Burning through the metal, he moved fast through a side door, up a ladder, into the air ducts. He knew they would chase him. He wanted them to. Rayner's breathing was heavy. His back hurt. His body was weak. But his mind? Sharp as ever. He reached the upper deck, near the old AI core. It was dead, but the speakers still worked. He plugged in a wire, activated the comms, and began to speak. All across the ship, his voice echoed. "You came here thinking you'd find a corpse. You thought humanity was over, that we died like scared children in the dark. But you were wrong. This ship is my coffin, but I'm not the one inside it." The aliens moved faster now. Some turned back toward their ship. Others advanced toward the voice. One reached the AI room. It was empty. But on the wall, a message. had been burned in. Checkmate. A second later, the turret Rayner repaired came alive. It spun and fired 3 heavy blasts. One alien went flying back into the hall. Another screamed as his armor melted. Rayner, watching from a security screen, nodded once. "That's for Earth," he said. He ran back to the bridge, dodging broken doors and jumping over fallen beams. The ship groaned again. It was old, very old, but somehow it still held together. When he reached the command chair, he saw something that made him pause. 5 more ships had arrived. Bigger, stronger, brighter, not hunters. They were locking on to the Titanfall. Rayner opened the external comms. He knew they could hear him. He looked straight into the camera and spoke clearly. "You destroyed my world. You erased our cities. You thought we were dust, but you forgot something. ... He pointed to himself. "Human resolve is stronger than steel, stronger than war, stronger than time." The alien fleet sent a warning. "Surrender. Last chance." Rayner laughed. Not today. He activated the ship's only working thruster, burning the last of the fuel and sent the Titanfall spinning into the nearby debris field. Rocks, broken ships, old mines. The aliens followed. Inside the ship, alarms screamed. Rayner grabbed the wheel. He dodged a wrecked cruiser. A mine exploded just meters away, shaking the whole ship. But still, he moved forward. The aliens fired. One laser hit the Titanfall's left wing. Metal flew off. Another blast tore into the rear. Smoke filled the bridge. Rayner coughed, his eyes burning, but he kept flying. He aimed straight at a giant floating fuel tank from a past war. One more second, closer. Then he jumped out of his chair and pulled the emergency brake. The Titanfall stopped just before the tank. The alien ships didn't. 3 slammed into the tank at full speed. Boom. A fireball lit up the dark space. Rayner lay on the floor, breathing hard. His ship was half destroyed. His body ached, but the radar showed only 2 enemy dots left now, and he was still alive. He laughed softly and whispered,
"I still got it."
The Titanfall moved like a burning spear through the stars. Its engines were nearly destroyed. The hull was broken in 6 places. Fire danced along the rear corridor. But it flew straight and fast toward the black fortress that had appeared, like a god. Inside the bridge, Captain Rayner Holt wiped blood from his face. His hands shook. His lungs burned. But his eyes were filled with fire. He had one goal: stop the enemy, even if it cost him everything. The fortress was the size of a moon. It didn't speak. It didn't threaten. It just watched, silent, waiting. Rayner could feel it watching him deep in his bones. The voice he heard earlier whispered again, "You were never meant to find us." He ignored it. He locked all weapons on its main core and pressed fire. 3 blue beams fired from the Titanfall's main cannon. They struck. The fortress dashed hard. Metal cracked. Lights sparked, but it didn't fall. It didn't even move. Instead, the fortress opened, like a flower made of black steel. Inside was something worse than any weapon. A massive sphere glowing red and alive. It pulsed like a heart. Rayner stared at it. "What is that?" he whispered. Then it hit him. It wasn't a weapon. It was a brain. A living mind. Older than any species. The fortress fired. A red beam brighter than the sun blasted from the sphere, hitting the Titanfall. The ship screamed. Shields broke. Engines failed. Half the bridge exploded. Rayner was thrown across the room. Alarms blared. Oxygen dropped. Power fell to 5%. The ship was dying, but Rayner was still alive. Barely he pulled himself up. Blood dripped from his mouth. His bones felt shattered. But his hand reached for the manual override. There was still one thing left he could do. He opened the core chamber. The Titan core floated, burning brighter than ever. He spoke to it. I need more. Just one more shot. The core pulsed, as if it understood. Energy flowed into the ship. Lights turned white. The engines flared again. Weapons powered up to full, but Raynor knew it wouldn't last. One more strike. That's all he had. He set a course. Straight into the heart of the fortress, the beam weapon charged again, preparing to fire. Raynor locked on. Let's do this together, old girl. He activated full burn. The Titanfall raced forward, dodging smaller enemy ships, spinning through broken debris. The cannon fired one last time. The beam flew straight into the fortress core. Then, impact. A flash of blue and red light filled the sector. Everything shook. The explosion was so strong it, seen from the edge of the solar system, Raynor's ship disappeared into the blast. The fortress split, parts mind broken. Its controls shattered. The ancient enemy fell silent. 4 hours later, New Dawn and the remaining human ships arrived. They found the battlefield, still burning. Wreckage floated everywhere. Alien ships destroyed, the Black Fortress gone. But there was no sign of the Titham. Only a single beacon floated among the debris. A black box, a recording, Captain. Lennox played the final message. Raynor's voice came through, calm and steady. If you're hearing this, I did my job. The core's gone. So is the fortress. But it's not over. The signal reached deeper than I expected. We poked something big, and it may wake up again. Tell Earth. Tell the colonies. We still have fight in us. Tell them. One ship stood.
Tell them.
Humanity never bowed. The message ended. Silence followed, but not for long. Across the outer colonies, across asteroid bases and deep bunkers, survivors watched the transmission, and something changed. Fear turned into fire. On Mars, a child whispered. He flew into a god and didn't stop. On a moon colony, a soldier said, he bought us time. Now let's use it. On old Earth, the hidden human council stood up. They looked at the stars, and they remembered his name. Captain Raynor Holt, the man in the rusted ship, the ghost in the machine, the spark that lit the fire again in the deep silence of space. The wreckage still floated. Pieces of the Black Fortress drifted like dead giants. Fire burned across broken alien hulls. Among the stars, a lonely beacon blinked soft, steady. Endless, it was all that remained of the Titanfall. But for humanity, it was more than enough. News of Captain Raynor Holt's last stand spread fast. The New Dawn carried the story from colony to colony. The recording of his final message was replayed in every station. Every ship, every base still holding on to life. One ship stood. Humanity never bowed. These words became more than just memory. They became a call. On Earth, leaders who once hid behind walls stood tall again. The last Terran fleets were pulled from their hiding places. Old ships were reforged, repaired, reborn. New ones were built, not for running, but for returning. The Titan core had been destroyed, but its energy changed everything. Scientists now understood pieces of the old alien tech. They saw how to use it, how to power up again. The war had been lost years ago, but now a new one was coming. And this time, humanity would lead it in the deep stars, far from Earth. Something stirred, the ancient race that built the Black Fortress. The ones who once erased entire galaxies had felt the core's final pulse. Raynor's strike hadn't just broken a ship, it had broken their silence. They knew now. Humans had touched the fire, and worse, one human had stood against it. A council of shadows gathered. No voices, only thoughts. They were supposed to be gone. He woke the signal. The chain is broken. We must correct it. A decision was made not to attack, to watch, because one truth had been proven. Humanity was not weak. Back on Earth, beside a large hall built under the mountains, a statue was raised, not shiny, not clean. It was made from pieces of old metal scars and all. The plaque read, Captain Raynor Holt, the one who refused to die. People gathered, soldiers, engineers, children, survivors. Many had never seen him. Some thought he was just a story, but when the recordings played, there was silence. Rayner's tired voice filled the room once more. They thought we were dust. They thought we forgot how to fight, but we're still here. And Rust still cuts deep. In orbit, New Dawn prepared for its next journey. Its new flagship had a name, Titanfall 2. Painted on its side in bold letters, his ship was rusted, but his resolve was titanium. Commander Lennox stood on the bridge of the new vessel. He looked at the stars and said, "Let's finish what he started." Far, far away, in a small system forgotten by time, something flickered. A light, weak, fading, but familiar. Inside a broken escape pod, surrounded by burnt metal and oxygen alarms, a man opened one eye. His body was torn, his suit full of holes. The air was cold, but he was breathing. Captain Rayner Holt coughed, laughed, and whispered, "Told you I wasn't done yet."